Good morning, everyone. John here from Look Smart Home Inspections, and let's inspect this house. We have a lot of water collecting in this area of the gravel driveway, so we have this belly here. So when it gets colder, obviously this is going to create icing and can create tripping hazards and slipping hazards, right, for the occupants of the house. So this is something we want to build up, and we want to direct that water away into this grassy area here, just so we don't get those tripping hazards and slipping hazards. So that's the first thing we're going to make a note of. So here is our area of water retention, and here is a landscaping pipe right here that discharges this downspout. So the downspout enters into this black landscaping pipe. It does have landscaping fabric around it, and then it goes off into the grassy area here. Now, this is not a driveway drain, but we want to make sure that this is actually installed below the level of the gravel, because people coming in and out of this driveway are going to cause damage to this piping, right? This black landscaping piping here. So we're going to recommend to our client that this be installed below the ground and possibly discharge into a dry well or be daylighted into this grassy area here to the side of the house. But this can be damaged by traffic, damaged by people coming in and out of this driveway. So that's something we're for sure going to make a note of. If you guys notice here, we have a lot of water retention into this grass area. This is about maybe 20-25 feet away from the home. So we don't have free draining soil here. So whenever we have this type of water retention, that the soil isn't percolating, it's not draining, and we're relatively close to the home, this can create areas where the home is more vulnerable to water infiltration because we have this water so close to the house. Now, when we go inside, we're going to be looking for any type of water penetration through the foundation walls. But when you're looking for a home or you're inspecting a home, look for this. And if your soil isn't free draining and we have these areas of water retention, that can make your house more vulnerable to water infiltration problems. So we have a hot tub out here. The hot tub is operational and the electrical looks good. What I am gonna make a note of is these steps right here, because they're not fixed. So somebody entering the hot tub can move these steps, lose their balance, trip, and actually can have an injury. So this is something that I'm gonna just make a note of, and the buyer may wanna try to secure this set of steps going up to the hot tub just so nobody gets hurt. This is a rear electrical receptacle right here, and we have a piece of Romex wire that's attached to a plug right there, enters into the electrical receptacle and provides power for something. But I'm not really sure what this supplies power for just yet. But this is not correct. We don't want a piece of Romex which is not really designed to have a plug attached. And so this is something that we're going to recommend that the buyer of the house clean up. But I'm going to try to figure out what actually this is powering. I'm not really sure yet, and we'll try to figure that out. But Romex on a plug is a no-go. We're just going to make a quick note to paint up our exterior window trims here. I don't know if you could see it, but we do have some peeling paint. Not a big deal, very minor, but we do want proper maintenance of the exterior siding and the window trims just to make sure that we protect those from the weather. Here we have sort of a head flashing above this door to the lower level of this house right here. It's not really installed correctly. We're still going to get water right on this top edge, this flat ledge here. So the head flashing is designed to divert water away from this top ledge. And they kind of attempted to put one in. I mean, this is not a major issue, but it is something that we're going to bring to note. And the head flashing should be properly installed just to protect this upper flat edge above this lower entry door. We have this electrical receptacle back here, and we have the electric wire enters into this conduit, and this is actually what we see connected to the Romex on the plug. So they're running that into this conduit, runs up here into this electrical in the back of this fence here, most likely to plug in these exterior lights. This is not correct. We want to have a proper electrical connection and wired electrical receptacle in the back here, especially because we're in a wet area. Obviously, we're outside a home. So this should be corrected. Not a major thing, but definitely something that has to be corrected. Here we have this negative grade, which is going to direct water to the outside or structure of our house here. So we have this steep embankment where water is going to be directed and it's going to lay against our foundation wall right here. Not ideal. When we go inside, we're going to be looking for any kind of seepage or efflorescence along this right side foundation wall of the house. So we don't really want this. We don't really want water to be laying against the outside of the home because it obviously makes it more vulnerable to water entry. This is the right side of the house, and we see this cracking right here, right under this window. Now, I'm not worried about this cracking. This is the weak point in the wall, is where this window is located. And a lot of times we'll see these overall, these just general settlement type of cracks. This is not a big structural issue in any way. It's just something I'm going to notate in the report. But if you see something like this under a window or at the corner of the windows, generally this is not a structural concern. Over here at this right front deck support post, we see some wood decay developing right here. Nothing too crazy, but this really should be replaced. Water is going to wick into this wood post because water is just going to lay against this cement footing here. We don't have the proper offset between the bottom of the post and the cement footing to alleviate this water wicking in problem. So a lot of times when we see the support post in direct contact with the footing, we're going to get wood decay like this caused by water wicking into the bottom of the post. This is our post at the right rear. And if I put a foot into it, you can kind of just see it moving a little bit. So it's not secure to the top of the footing, and we want that properly secured to the footing so it doesn't kick out. Plus, water is going to get into these openings right here and then wick into the post. So this needs correction. We're at the right side of this deck, and our ledger stops here on the home, and then we have this deck extension that goes maybe 7 or 8 feet here. So what I want to do is put another post right here to split the span of this ledger, at least gives it some more support. So we're going to recommend a support post be installed right here to improve support against this right side ledger right here. We do have this corner support right there. However, I'm going to recommend one be put right here just for additional support and just to prevent possible injury. This is our deck ledger board to the house, and we see that it's nailed only. There's no lag bolts, there's no through bolts, there's no proper secure to this ledger to the home. So we have just these nails. We want to make sure that this is properly and tightly secured to the house. Now, I don't see any failure here, but this is definitely a defect that we're going to have the customer correct because it's unsafe. Decks usually fail at this connection from the ledger to the home, and here we're just nailed only. If this was a modern deck, we would have not 4x4 posts, but 6x6 posts here. So you can see what they did. They added these center support posts just under the floor joist here. No beam installed. Will this work? Yeah, it's probably going to work. Is it correct? No, it's not really correct. And we see that our footings here, at least we have footings, but they're a little bit small in size. So we're going to, write that up as well. I don't think the deck is unsafe, and they did a reasonable job at fortifying the structure here. So I don't think it's going to be a safety issue, but this for sure could have done better. They could have done this better, install a beam here, install a beam here, rather than have these 4x4 posts just attach under the rim board here, and then these center supports right here are just attached under the deck joists, which is, a little iffy kind of construction. Wouldn't recommend that. This is the main electrical service wire to this home here. Here's the ground, here's the wire. It's very low, right? So this can create a hazard if somebody is bringing a ladder around, or if you have a tall piece of machinery, or you're cutting these trees, something like that. So I want to see this electrical wire raised up to a more safer location. Where it attaches to the home here, we're going to recommend that a service mast be put on that's about 5 feet above the roof level, so that wire can be raised so it doesn't create a safety hazard. That electrical wire is too low, and somebody can get hurt. Right here at this left side corner of the home, I don't know if you can see it, but the gutter is leaking. And we don't want to have a gutter leaking because it puts a lot of water close to the exterior foundation walls and then can create seepage problems in the lower level, in this case, the garage. So we're going to definitely look for that. So that should be corrected, and our gutter should have a nice gentle slope to the downspout. And we see in that location there is a little bit of a belly, which is probably causing the water to overflow in that location. That should be corrected. Just looking at the roof, and the roof doesn't look too bad. Just taking a look at the roof over here, and we get a close-up of the material. I don't see very much granular loss. There is flexibility to the shingles, so that's not brittle in any way. And I do have some flexibility here, which indicates that, you know, the asphalt mat is not brittle. So this roof is, you know, it's okay. We definitely have more life left in it. We're going to look in the attic space to see if there's anything glaring. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the condition of the roof today. As I was walking down the deck steps, there is some deflection noted. We have this long overhang here, so that's kind of creating a fulcrum action where our deck steps are actually starting to split. This is, I mean, it is a safety hazard. We are going to make a note of that deflection. Obviously, you want a nice, stable stair surface, but this is something that should definitely be looked at. As you walk down the stairs, you do see and you do feel that deflection condition as you come down the steps. Also, we should have a graspable handrail along this right side. It's not a graspable handrail. We need an interior handrail so you can put your entire hand around it. So I'm in this kind of utility room here, and we have a sump pump that's not professionally installed. So a lot of times we'll see these sump pumps that'll just be a hole in the basement floor. So if you look down in here, you see a lot of dirt and you see a lot of mud, and that can actually foul the pump as the pump draws the water into the pump. So we really want to see a properly configured sump crock, which is basically like it's like a bucket. It's like a retaining wall around this area where the sump pump sits in it. And that prevents that sediment and that gunk from getting in there and fouling up the pump. This is our sump pump discharge line right here that goes outside. And that's a check valve, so we need to have a check valve, which is there. Over here we have a well tank right here. And if we look down here, we see that our well tank pressure gauge is fully damaged. It had water infiltration in it, so that should be replaced. It cannot be read in its present condition, and we have water in it, and so we don't want that to leak, so that should be replaced. Our well tank, which is this blue tank right here, and it makes domestic water pressure, has a life expectancy of about 15 years, and this well tank was manufactured in 2015. So part of a home inspection is to give the client an idea of how old the equipment is in the home, and basically the statistical life expectancy of that equipment as well. Next to it, we have a electric water heater right here that's been newly installed. So the water heater was manufactured in 2023, and I know that from the data plate right there. So this is a electric water heater. We should have a permit sticker on this water heater. That's a closed out permit because it's a newer unit. And we'll ask the our client to obtain that from the the seller of the home. Our pressure relief discharge pipe is a little short right there. It should go down to about 6 inches off the floor. Nothing I get too crazy about, but we'll make a note of that. Always like to see a catch basin or tray under the water heater, and we can pump that, pipe that catch basin or tray directly into the sump pump, which is right next door, so that makes it very convenient. So that basically takes care of this little water closet here, other than the sump pump is being powered by an extension cord that runs out here along this wall and goes into that electrical receptacle. So we want to see a sump pump with its own electrical receptacle close to the pump, so we don't have to operate it via an extension cord. So those are the things that I'm going to write up in this little utility closet right here, and then we'll see what else we can find. This is an electric heater in a converted garage. So this was a garage at one point that was just finished into living space. So there's no other heating system here other than this electric heater. It's an old electric heater, Federal Pacific electric heater. I know that obviously they have problems with their electrical panels, but I've never seen a heater. When we put this on, you know, we hear that it's very, very loud and noisy. So that's going to require, I don't think it can be repaired. Most likely that's going to require a replacement, but it does actually put out heat, only it's super, super noisy. There are some stains on the floor in this finished garage. So I don't know if these are water stains or not. We are close to the baseboard, so we're just going to alert, obviously, our client to this here, and then we're going to look further and see if there's any kind of water penetration evidence. So I did use a thermal imager along this wall and along the back wall, and I didn't see anything anomalous in these walls here. So there wasn't any signature of water using a thermal imager behind these walls, but we do see some stains here. And obviously that is something that could be water penetration through this baseboard area here. Not sure, and I don't know if I'll be able to confirm that, but that's something that's definitely going to go in the home inspection report. You can see those stains right there. Just checking this electric heater right here in the lower level, and we see that this one is working for sure. And then we move over to our other electric heater, which is located at the back of the basement, and we have no heating at all. So they're on the same thermostat. So this is something that has to be fixed or repaired, because a single electric heater in this larger basement is not going to be able to properly heat the basement space. So that electric heater right there does not work. Our basement steps guardrail right here has openings that are too wide. We can't have openings that are wider than 4 inches between the balusters. So not a difficult fix, but something that is a child safety hazard. Then obviously we look at steps and guardrails when we do a home inspection. So this is something that's going to go into the home inspection report. So this is a bedroom in a basement. Obviously a bedroom, right? That window here is not an egress window, both for size and height. So this bedroom is actually not a legal bedroom. It shouldn't be using this space as a bedroom because there is no secondary means of egress through this window. This is an unsafe situation, and we don't want to have basements in bedrooms without the proper egress window. So this is something important for safety. If there was a fire were to develop, you know, our person in this bedroom may not be able to make it out that window because of the height and because of the size of that window, not an egress window. Here we have a second basement bedroom here, bed here, windows not egress accessible here. So technically this is not a legal bedroom, and you do not want to have a bedroom in the basement. Say you have family over, friends over, there's a fire, and you're in this bedroom, or they're in this bedroom, and they can't escape. So this is a big deal. This is not a safe and legal bedroom. So if you're thinking about purchasing a home and it has beds in the basement and they're being used, some rooms in the basement are being used as basement bedrooms, you need to make sure that the bedrooms meet all fire egress requirements for safety, or else you can be liable. So a couple things in this basement bathroom that I'm going to be looking for. And the first thing here is this electric heating unit is operational. I have the toilet paper holder here. So if that toilet paper were to rest over that electric heating unit, that can cause a fire safety hazard. So that's something that obviously we don't want to have. So we should relocate this toilet paper holder. It's a real easy fix, but something like this can burn your house down. Over here at the toilet, I just want to put a knee into the toilet, and I want to see if she's going to go. And look at that. See it? See her rocking back and forth. I don't know if you can hear it or see it, but the toilet is loose. So that means we're not secure to the floor or on our flange at the bottom. Maybe we have trouble with our wax ring also. So this is something that's going to have to be corrected. and we see that our toilet tank is also loose. So those are some of the things that we look at when we look at a toilet, and also we look at the connection here, make sure there's no leakage, and we try to see if there's any leakage around the base of the toilet where it meets the floor. So then we come over to the sink. We obviously want to make sure that there's a stopper. There's no stopper here. So minor thing, we'll make a note of that. And then we want to kind of pan back and see if there's an electrical outlet. So I don't see any electrical outlet, and there should be one in a bathroom. So we're going to recommend the installation of an electrical outlet here because there is none. And then we're going to go under the sink and see what's doing here. And we can see that we have an S-trap. This is not a P-trap. This is an older style S-trap. And with this particular style of trap, we can get siphoning inside the piping. Gurgling can happen also because there's a siphoning action here. And we can also get odors inside our bathroom coming from the septic system. So this is not the proper trapping, and we're going to recommend that be corrected by a plumbing contractor. Our valves look relatively okay. We're going to run some water, obviously here, to make sure that our hot and cold water works, that everything is flowing correctly here. Our hot water does work. And we're just going to run some water here for a few moments to make sure that everything is draining properly. Then we're going to come over here to take a look at our stall shower, and we're going to put this guy on, and we're going to check hot and cold water here, make sure that water pressure is okay, make sure that everything is properly attached. We have a little spitting, not a big deal, that should rectify itself, and we'll make sure that everything drains correctly. So we're going to spend a couple minutes in this bathroom and make sure that everything is buttoned up, but that's sort of a brief overview. Obviously, part of what we do when we inspect a home is to open the electrical panel box cover to make sure there's no glaring issues inside the panel. So here we have a 200 amp panel. I know that from the breaker. I know that from the wire sizes also. All the wire sizes match the their breakers. There's no double tapping. There's no double tapping of the neutrals. There's nothing singed or loose in here. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the electrical panel box. Down here, if you look, there is a missing knockout right there. So that should be corrected. We don't want to have any open areas of the panel box in case a fire were to develop in the panel box. We don't want to give it oxygen to continue to build any fire in the panel box. The breakers appear to be matched correctly. Everything looks good. The wire sizes are correct here. Overly okay. Nothing major in this panel box here. I don't see any permits on the outside of this box, so we'll ask for that. But otherwise, pretty good. Most electrical work that is newer is done by an electrical contractor who's licensed. So generally, it's fairly good. But there are times when it's not. And this one is okay. It's not super great wiring. It's not super neat, but it's going to be okay. So in the kitchen, we're going to check water pressure, the dishwasher, make sure that that works. That's running now. We're going to check the range, oven, microwave, vent fan, refrigerator, obviously check the flooring. A couple things in this kitchen is we don't have GFCI protected electrical receptacles close to the sink here in the counter area, so we're going to recommend that. Up here we have damaged cords for our window, and our window doesn't open. Sometimes obviously people want to open and close the window above the sink, so that's something that we're going to write up. That should be either repaired or replaced. The sink spray hose is non-operational. Water pressure at the sink is slightly low, so we're going to make a note of that. It's low on the cold side, not the hot side. I'm not really sure what's causing that because both of the valves are on under the sink, so we're going to make a note of that as well. We check the cabinetry, make sure it's properly secured with the right fasteners to the walls. We check the walls and ceilings for any kind of water penetration. Here we have high ceilings here. And overall, pretty good kitchen, not too much going on, pretty basic kitchen, but we do have to go through our various checks. Over here, we're going to make a note that that range should be above the level of the countertop, just so we don't get any damage to the countertop here. So that range should be lifted slightly. There's adjustments under the range where you can raise the range up to at least a level or slightly above the level of the counter. The microwave was working, the vent fan was working, so we're looking pretty good in this kitchen. Here we have a small area. We do test the washer and dryer. Dryer was working. Here we see this vent pipe for the dryer that goes over this shelving unit here. This is just flex pipe. We would really like to see rigid pipe so we don't get obstructions in here. It's not the end of the world. It's going to work. It's just not great. Outside, the exterior discharge of the dryer is partially obstructed, so we want to clean that so we don't happen to have a dryer fire. That's very, very important. Electric dryer here. We spin around. This is our washer right here. We're going to recommend a one-touch valve be installed here. So you leave the laundry area, you turn off your valve quickly, so you never come home to any leakage if these hoses should rupture. We need a cover plate on this, and we would like to see a pan under the washer just to catch any leakage should it develop. And we're going to run our washer through a cycle just to make sure that operates. Home inspectors in New Jersey should be testing the washer and dryer because they generally stay with the home, and to make sure that they're going to be functional. We're in our living room here, and you probably can't see it, but each of these windows, these large picture windows, have condensation visible in between the two panes of glass. So that means that we have broken seals here in these three windows, and they're custom windows. They're going to be expensive to replace. And when we see this condensation, that means that we had a breach in the seal system and air got in and our argon gas or other gas leaked out. And so we're not as thermally efficient in these windows as we were when the seals were intact. If we look up here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but we could have an area of old water damage or new water damage. Now, I did use a thermal imager, and there wasn't any signature of water leakage around this area, but we are going to bring it to the attention of the client. And we do that so they can actually ask the seller what happened if they know any information regarding any issues like this when we see water damage in the ceiling. I tried to operate this ceiling fan, but it was locked up. The light worked, but the blades didn't work. We don't have central air conditioner, so this is a portable air conditioner that they installed here. Obviously, it's winter. We don't need that now. But overall, not bad. The doors operate, lights operate pretty good. The flooring is level. The walls look good. Nothing too crazy going on here. And we're going to move on to our hallway and walk down to the bedrooms now. In our second bathroom, and we need a GFCI electrical receptacle here because we're by the sink, so that has to be changed out. We have electric heating. Under the sink, we have some CPVC piping, which is this plastic piping here. I don't really like this type of piping because it has a lot of connection points, and you can see all this purple primer right here. That's usually an indication when it's this sloppy that the work has been done by a non-professional. So I don't really like this. I'm going to recommend replacement of this CPVC piping because I think it's more prone to leakage. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I would much rather see PEX installed in this application. People will probably argue with me, but I just don't like this type of piping. Toilet was fine. We have the toilet paper roll above the electric heating unit, which is a no-go. We talked about that before. Our towel bar is slightly loose. We have a standard window here, non-tempered, non-safety glass window in the tub area here. So this is something that should be changed out in case you're in the tub or taking a shower and you slip, your hand doesn't go through the window and create shards and cut your hand or elbow or arm. So this is a window that's not really allowed here. We did test the window. The window doesn't stay in the open position. It just falls back down because our cords are damaged. Everything else was okay. We would really like to see some caulking in between the tub spout and the wall. just so we don't get water infiltrating in that area as well. Around the escutcheon plate here, we should also have proper caulking. Overall, though, not too bad, pretty typical, what we find in bathrooms like this. So we'll take our notes and take our pictures. I'm now in the attic space of the house, and you can see that there's insulation here on the floor, but no flooring. So you have to be super careful when you walk around here. So overall, I'm happy with the structure. I do want to see some additional ventilation installed when they do the roof here. There's no soffit ventilation and no ridge ventilation. There's also no gable ventilation. So basically our ventilation is zero. And that's going to cause the roof covering to wear out prematurely because we don't have any ventilation. Over here, we see that's a bathroom exhaust fan. We see a couple of open air splices right there. We don't want to see that. That's amateur work. We should have splices only in a junction box only. Our bathroom vent fans are not attached properly to the gable wall, so they're discharging right now into the attic space. Nothing that can't be easily fixed. That's not a major issue. But overall, our structure looks good. Pretty happy with the attic overall. Not too many problems in here. Ventilation for sure has to be corrected. A couple of smaller electrical issues. Bathroom fans are not discharging through the gable where they're designed to be discharged to. And obviously you want to be real careful when you're looking at an attic like this because there's no floor and you don't want to end up down through the first floor of the house, which would be a problem. So I just finished that inspection. It took me a little over 3 hours to do. My clients weren't there, which is out of the ordinary. They live out of state. So I went to do the inspection. I got the code from the agent, and I was able to go in and do the inspection. If the client was there and there was questions I had to answer along the way, it would probably add another 40 minutes or so onto the home inspection. So in that, between that 3 and 4 hour time frame, is probably pretty typical for a thorough home inspection from a dedicated comprehensive home inspector. Stay away from these 90-minute, 2-hour home inspections. It's just too quick. You just can't. You have to spend the time in the house. It's a thinking job also. You have to think about the problems that you find and how they relate to other, potential problems in the home. You have to really kind of use your noodle as a home inspector. It's just not going through the house, pointing out, loose hinge here, window that doesn't open there. It's really a lot of thinking. And to do it correctly, it does take time. So between 3 and 4 hours, much longer for a more substantial home. I've done home inspections have taken 7, or 8 hours, to do. So I hope that helps. I hope you learned a little something about the home inspection process. It was a pretty clean house. There wasn't, a tremendous amount of major issues in this house. Many times we're finding really, really detrimental problems. But this one was pretty good. I think I'll talk to my client after I produce the report, and then we'll circle back. And I think they'll probably move forward, but hopefully be able to get a little bit of a credit for some of the issues that we do find. It's really hard today in New Jersey to find a home, to purchase a home, get your offer accepted. So, it's a difficult process, but stick to it. You'll get something, continue to work at it, and make sure to hire yourself a really comprehensive and thorough home inspector who has plenty of years of experience to make sure that they're protecting you and that you fully understand what's going on with the house that you're purchasing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.